how's it going, guys? I hope your day is going well. And today the video we're touching on are some of the biggest challenges that I've actually faced within the last 3 years of outsourcing to the Philippines to virtual assistants. I would say big challenge number 5 is going to be lack of motivation. And for me, the most virtual assistants I've had working for me at one point in time is actually 8 virtual assistants at once. Okay, and I'll never forget this lesson that I learned because I just remember I'm always kind of like thinking to myself, how can I make things better? How can we be more efficient? How can we be happier? How can we I'm always like thinking these things to myself. And I remember at one point I had 8 virtual assistants working 8 hours a day, like a regular work day. But the work that they were doing, it was very like task oriented, meaning for me, I had a set number of how many tasks they had to knock out before they could leave. And it was actually repetitive tasks. They had to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And, I talked to the manager and I said, hey, within those 8 hours, how many of these tasks are the virtual, or, is the team knocking out? And the manager, I forget the number at that time, but the manager told me a number. And I remember I said, hey, what if we did this? Let's take that number, let's divide it up by 8, and let's look at like what is the dollar amount, what is the dollar amount worth for each of these tasks. And what we ended up doing was we told the team, all right, so instead of you guys getting paid per hour, 8 hours, what we're going to do is we're going to pay you guys per task, okay? So I don't care how many hours you're here. You could be here 2 hours. As long as all these tasks get done, I don't care. Go home. Have fun. Go to the beach. I really don't care. Just get the stuff done. And something like the most incredible thing happened. And I'll never forget this. 8 hours of work suddenly started getting done in 5 to 6 hours. I'll repeat that again. 8 hours of work started getting done in 5 to 6 hours. I know that this is not going to solve every lack of motivation problem, but this is what started happening inside that organization. Not only did we get more productivity faster, me as an employer, I was not worried about the money, okay? I was not worried, I'm not trying to keep my people on a budget and squeeze them on a budget. Instead what I said, cool, was if you guys can do this in 5 to 6 hours, right? Basically, I got my productivity up. I did have to spend a little bit more, but we got the productivity up, and then we also got the workers to get paid more, and everybody was happy. It was like a real good win-win situation. And we couldn't do it all the time, but whenever we could do it, man, these guys were just like ready to work. And not just that, I think they were just a lot happier going home early. But that's like one example of how I fix a lack of motivation, okay? Another way to fix lack of motivation is to make sure that your virtual assistants are not alone. I don't know if you yourself have ever worked from home. It's not for everybody. There are some people who are amazing at working from home. You don't have to watch over them. They can watch over themselves. They're extremely well at, keeping themselves accountable. But this is just a very, very small percent of people. Okay, it's a very small percent of people. Not very many people can keep themselves accountable. And typically the kind of people that are keeping themselves accountable are entrepreneurs. And when you're looking at entrepreneurs, you're talking about a success rate of less than 2%, right? So if less than 2% of people can really be successful and keep themselves accountable, what does that mean for your workers, right? So if you're somebody who's watching this video and you're a worker and you're looking at me like, screw you, like I'm good at home, like nobody needs to tell me what to do, I'm happy for you. I'm good for you. Send me your resume, actually. But most people just can't do it. So I noticed once we got our workers into an environment where there were other people working, it just made things easier for them. Okay, and this was before I even had a manager managing people. Just having people in a work environment, music, energy, everybody's on computers talking, you take a break and you go out to lunch with people. You know, you have that nice, like, I'm waiting for Friday, for the day on Friday to be over, you know, so that I could go home, so that I could go out and have a good time. Like, that to me is like not just motivating, but you know, it's just different. Because a lot of these people that work from home, like, they wake up, they roll out of bed, they go to their computers, they work, and then they go back, like, inside their house, and it sucks being home all day, in my opinion. So getting your workers around other people. So let's say that you don't have an office yet and you want to get your workers around other people still. Well, go look into co-working spaces. Go look into coffee shops. Even having your workers work at coffee shops is better than having them work from home, because the environment and the energy. So, you know, it's another way to deal with lack of motivation. What's another way to deal with lack of motivation, I think, is putting a goal in front of your workers. I think that typically people who are outsourcing, like me, are less experienced entrepreneurs. Typically people who are running businesses, not typically, but a lot of people who are running businesses are people who have never managed a team before. I was a sales manager before I ever outsourced, and I had a lot of team members, and I had to learn how to motivate people real early. But a lot of you never had a sales team to manage, or just a team to manage in general. A lot of you have never really worked with other people as a boss. So how do you motivate people? One other way is to give incentives, right? Give incentives. If you can get these projects knocked out in a timely manner without very many mistakes, you don't stress me out, I have a bonus for you. And to people in the Philippines, a lot of times what you would think is like nothing to you, you go out to lunch and you spend $20 on lunch in California in the Bay Area like it's nothing. You know, to your worker in the Philippines, $20 can be a lot, especially for some, depending on what areas they are. You know, if they're in Manila, it's less significant. But if your workers are in like other areas, like, you know, mine are in Iloilo, where it's not as expensive, you know, $20 is like a blessing over there. And you know, whatever you want to incentivize, it doesn't have to be $20, but giving cash incentives is one. Hey, if you knock out your work early, you can take the day off tomorrow. Don't worry about it. You take the day off tomorrow, I'll pay you. Don't worry about it. So, you know, I think that giving constant incentives is really, really important, because what happens if you don't give incentives is you tend to just go to work and it's just a job and it is what it is and it's whatever, you know. And it's bad enough that most people who outsource are already not communicating with their virtual assistants enough, and they don't really have a great relationship with them. On top of that, if you don't incentivize them, that is a recipe for lack of motivation. I'm sure that there's a lot of other things that we can do. You know, I've done things as well as, like, you know, hey, if you do a good job, there's some stuff in the United States that you can't get in the Philippines, like computer parts and stuff like that. I've sent my workers like computer parts. I've sent my workers like boxes of stuff. You know, I try to buy laptops in the Philippines as often as I can, or when I get laptops here, and just ship them out. You know, so whatever I can do to incentivize them, I do. So I know this video is kind of longer, but, you know, lack of motivation is just such a huge one. It's just such a huge one. And you know what? If you're a negative person, and every time you're talking to your workers, you're so strict and you're so mean, and, you know, you're honestly just a shitty person, like, that is a huge cause of lack of motivation as well. Like, to my people, I'm like the cool boss, guys. Like, I've literally, like, had my manager run to the store, buy beer, and slam it on the desk and say, hey guys, take the day off early, go have some beers, have a good time. Okay? That's motivating. That's motivating for your workers, knowing that they have a cool boss. Joking around with them sometimes. Like, just talking to them and asking them how they are. Right? And I know this, like, firsthand, that a lot of workers and a lot of bosses are not doing that, and it's crazy to me, because it's so simple just to, you know, keep people motivated and keeping them wanting to work for you, you know. So, this is a longer video, but I'm so passionate about this one and keeping your workers motivated. Okay. If you have any questions, this is one that I would even want to create a topic for. Comment down below. Send me an email. Talk to me. Hit me up on Facebook, on Instagram. Let's talk about this one. How do you keep your workers motivated? What am I missing here? Because even me, I still want to learn. I want to know how to keep my workers even more motivated, even more, motivated to want to do things to move my company forward or to move the companies of my clients forward. So that being said, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the next video that's coming up.